Hello, hello, hello. Welcome back to Fallout 76. Now, I wasn't planning to make a follow-up video, but it looks like lots of people either misunderstood what I'm saying, or I think they're just plain wrong. Yes. So let me do a follow-up video on what I talked about previously about legendary cores and script, and I'll break it down into different scenarios this time. Because I'm getting a lot of comments from people saying, I have thousands of cores, what should I do? I have no cores, what should I do? I don't give a shit, I want to keep my modules. Lots and lots of comments, and I thought it might be best to address it by looking at different scenarios. So firstly, let's start with people who just don't give a crap about the changes. To those people, I say, good for you. Don't let fear of missing out and don't let gambling systems take over your life, that's fine. The only reason I'm making these videos is because there will be people that get caught out and then they'll say, why didn't anybody warn me? I'm so unhappy. Or something like that, right? But yes, ultimately, if you just want to play the game and just want to relax and everything like that, then good for you. The other extreme is people who come along and say, I'm rich, bitch, I have all the god rolls in the world, and I just don't give a fuck. Well, if that's the case, then good for you too. But why are you humble bragging in my comments section? So aside from those two extremes, there's a number of different situations. One is the people who've only just kind of started playing the game, and they don't have much in the way of cores or modules. The other one is people who have loads of cores. And the last one is the group that I find myself in, where you have lots of stashed legendaries with 2 great stars. Right, let's start by talking about the people who are relatively new and don't have much in the way of cores or modules. So firstly, let me start by saying that if you're below level 50, then put yourself in the I don't care group, because if you're below level 50, you shouldn't bother with crafting any kind of legendaries or trying to make things like gold armor. For those people, I would say wait until level 50. Although if you're relatively close to level 50, you can actually run expeditions until you hit level 50. That is an option. That will also give you a bunch of legendaries, plus stamps that you can use after the update. For those people who are relatively new and above level 50, then you should focus on creating at least one of each type of weapon that you want to keep going forward. So for example, if you don't have a good fixer, then now's the time to craft one at level 50. Then go into the modified menu and make it into a 3-star legendary. As you can see, it will cost you 5 cores and 4 modules. And the actual legendary properties don't really matter at this stage. Okay, this one's pretty good. Weapon speed is good, but otherwise it's not great. At this stage, the most important thing is to make sure that you have 3 stars on whatever items you want. For example, a handmade is a good choice because handmades are basically endgame weapons anyway. Same with something like an auto axe or a chainsaw. This is a good time to actually make them into legendary versions. At this stage, the legendary properties don't really matter that much. The focus should be on making sure that you have at least a 3-star legendary of all the weapons that you want to keep. The same goes with armor. In my case, I've got a full set of Secret Service gear except for this left arm. It's got some really good properties, but it's not a Secret Service. So if I was looking for a full set, then this would be the right time for me to actually roll the left arm, which I will probably do. If you haven't got to the point where you can craft endgame armor, then at this stage don't worry about it. Now I've come into the PTS to show you how things will be with the new system. I've gone and crafted myself a level 50 fixer, so let's take a look at how many modules it will cost you to make this into a 3-star legendary. That's 15 modules. Remember, before the change, this will cost you 5 cores and 4 modules. After the change, that will be 15 modules. And modules will be more expensive afterwards, right? So this is one of the reasons I'm recommending that people make 3-star legendary versions of the weapons they want. This applies especially to Secret Service armor, because before the change, that will cost you 1 module to craft a legendary version of this. After the change, you'll have to craft them as normal armor, and then spend 15 modules to make them into legendaries. The cost difference is massive, right? But again, like I said before, if you don't have the recipes for gold armor, then don't worry about it. Really, just don't worry about it. Focus on the stuff that you can do. So once you've got a couple of versions of the items you want to keep, and you've turned them into 3-star legendaries, in my case I've created 2 fixers, as you can see. Ironically, this is one that I probably want to keep. It's got 2 decent stars, right? But I mean, I'm kind of a test server, so this is not something I can keep, unfortunately. But there you go. Ironically, I ended up rolling a pretty decent one, eh? But in any case, if you have cores left over, what you should do is turn some of the ones that are not great rolls. Okay, so you can either keep this one to sell or do something afterwards. But if you still have extra cores, and there are some items which are not particularly great, like this one, then you can re-roll it. The idea is to try and get at least 2 good stars, because after the change you'll be able to modify the stars. But remember, this is only for items that you want to keep. And the reason I'm recommending you try and get 2 good stars on the item you want is because if you go into the PTS, in other words, what the new system will look like, things are drastically different. Let me make this into a legendary first. You notice this? It is not possible to re-roll. You have to apply a module. And if you understand what the probabilities are to actually learn the plans, they are horrible. They are just as bad as trying to roll a god roll. The bad thing about the new system is that it's actually much more difficult to try and get to 2 good stars. With the current system of just re-rolling legendaries, there's a very good likelihood that you'll end up with 1 or 2 random legendaries that are good. Essentially, with the new system, you roll 3 random legendary properties, and then you have to apply the modules separately. And once again, the chances to learn these plans is really bad. It's as bad as trying to roll a god roll now. This is why you want to try and take advantage of the system now in order to get 2 good stars on your legendaries. And then when the new system comes along, you turn that into 3 good legendaries, right? And also, while we're here, let me take a small tangent to try and address some of the comments that I've been getting about, no, I refuse to do that, I want to keep my modules and everything like that. That's fine, that is entirely your prerogative. I'm not telling you to do something. I'm simply pointing out the advantages and the disadvantages of the new system. Whether you choose to follow that advice is entirely up to you. Like they say, caveat emptor, right? But while we're on the topic, let me point out that if you do want to hoard legendary modules, the only real reason you should do so is because you want to craft named unique legendaries to then scrap and try to learn the plans. That's fine, I understand that. If it's for anything else, then I wouldn't bother, because modules are not as important as they are now. Scrapping legendaries and learning the plans for star modules will be the more important thing after the change. Modules are very important now, but they will be far less important later. Except for this particular scenario of crafting unique named legendaries. Okay, so on to the last group, which is the people who've been playing for a while and have hoarded a whole bunch of good legendaries. And that's the group that I fall into, because as you can see, I've got a bunch of good 2 stars on most of my legendaries. With the new system, I can actually turn them into 3 stars, in other words, god rolls. And this is why I'm advising people who've got lots of cores to actually go for 2 good legendaries. Because like I said before, the new system is actually to the advantage of people who have a whole bunch of 2 good rolls. But again, at the end of the day, this is entirely up to you. I'm not here to try and force you to do a particular thing, right? I'm simply giving advice that I think would be to the advantage of people. So whatever group you fall into, whether it's people who just don't give a crap, or have all the god rolls already, or have only just started and don't have that much in the way of cores and modules, or if it's the people who have lots of 2 good stars. Whatever situation you fall into, just make sure that you're in the best position to take advantage of the new system.